Brought to you by ExpressCare Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
Welcome back to Healthy Living. Lactose intolerance is something that many Americans have to endure. A big challenge for people who are lactose intolerant is learning how to avoid foods that give discomfort and to get enough calcium for healthy bones. Joining me now from ExpressCare is Dr. Jitka Lom.
Hi. Hi, Julie.
Hi. Okay, so can you explain to us what is lactose intolerance?
Okay, so lactose is the sugar that's present in milk. You know, there are different sugars in the world. For example, we have glucose, that's the one that diabetics check in their blood. We have sucrose, that's table sugar, and the milk one is lactose. Lactose is composed, it's a double molecule, it has some glucose in it, and it has something called galactose. And when you drink milk or eat a milk product, you get the lactose, that's the sugar, into your system. Then that needs to be broken down by an enzyme in your body. And many people, especially Asian people, are missing that enzyme. So they're unable to break down the sugar. That means that the sugar goes into their digestive tract and travels through the intestines and feeds happy bacteria that create a lot of gas. And so people with lactose intolerance will have bloating, burping, passing wind, diarrhea, all kinds of very unpleasant abdominal symptoms when they drink milk or dairy products.
All right. Now, how can one find out if they are indeed lactose intolerant?
That's a wonderful question. Most of the time it becomes obvious over time. People notice that, oh, I drink milk, I feel sick. But they don't always make the association because people will say, well, I've always had a glass of milk and I never used to have a problem. So they'll think maybe there's something else wrong and take Tums and whatever. So there are actually tests that you can do. They're breath tests where you can breathe into a special device and it will tell whether you're exhaling certain products that come when you're lactose intolerant. And there's other stool tests and blood tests and stuff like that you can do. But the easiest way without spending any money is to stop all dairy products for a couple of weeks, allow your intestines to settle down, and then do a milk challenge. Drink a whole bunch of milk, eat some ice cream, and see what happens. And if you get a very unpleasant feeling and a stomachache and diarrhea and gas, then you know you're lactose intolerant.
Okay. Now, you talked a little bit about the symptoms, but can you expand further on the symptoms? And is there a point to which, being lactose intolerant will, make a trip to the doctor necessary?
It can do so if the association isn't made, especially in children, because there are some children who are severely lactose intolerant, and they may even develop an actual allergy to milk, which is different than the lactose intolerance, but they may have vomiting and diarrhea and problems like that in their childhood. As far as adults, they'll generally figure it out before any severe illness occurs, but chronic diarrhea is one consequence of continuing to eat dairy products if you're lactose intolerant.
All right. Now, can you explain the difference between lactose and lactase?
Right. So lactose is the sugar that's found in milk. Lactase is the enzyme that you require to break down. Any medical, or let's say a word that ends in ACE is an enzyme. And that is the substance that's required in your body to break down the sugar.
All right. Now, you mentioned a little bit about milk allergy.
Right.
Now, is lactose intolerance the same as milk allergy?
It's not. In milk allergy, you may have very similar symptoms, meaning burping, bloating, diarrhea, and so on. But the mechanism of how this happens is quite different, where it's an immune system reaction to milk, and it's the protein in the milk that your body's reacting to, rather than the sugar. The symptoms, again, can be quite similar. In children, milk protein allergy is something that is often discovered in infancy. They'll be getting Similac or baby formula that has milk protein in it and become really very ill. And so those children need to be switched off into a soy-based or other type of formula that does not have any milk protein.
Okay. Now, just one last question. can a person grow out of being lactose intolerant?
Not generally. This is something you usually grow into. So as a child, you know, mothers are always telling their children, drink your milk, drink your milk. So the early organism, the young child can often tolerate that to a point. You may have a little bit of lactase, little bit of enzyme in your body, but not enough to handle it over the years. Over the years, our digestive system generally becomes more sensitive. Older people tend to be more sensitive about their diet than, let's say, 20-year-olds. So over time, people generally, if they are lactose intolerant, it's a lifetime thing.
All right, thank you, Doc.
You're welcome.
Well, sit tight. When we return, we'll take your questions.